Hello all, welcome to this demo session. Here we are going to discuss about linked list. So I have opened IntelliJ IDE here. Now let's create a class called LinkedList Demo. I'm going to create class on this package. So our class LinkedList Demo, and now the class has been created. Now let's create the main method. Static void the main method has been created. In the previous lecture, we saw that there are two constructors available for linked list. So I'm going to create an empty linked list of type integers. Linked list I have imported linked list class from java.util. Now we have a linked list, an empty linked list. Now let's try to add some integers. So I'm going to use for loop. If you remember in the previous lecture, there are many ways we can add an element into linked list. We have add first, add last, we have offer first, offer last. There are many methods. So it may be confusing for you which one to use. Now the main difference between add last and offer last, offer first, the main difference is the return type. For the add last and add first is of type void, while the offer last, offer first returns a boolean after the insertion. So it's up to you, or based on the application you have to select a particular method. So here I am going with add method. So let's add elements into the list. Now we are inserting from 0 to 49 into this linked list. So what will be the size of the array list if we are running this program now? So let's take the size. So you know how to check the size, right? It is list dot size. Before that, we can add a label. Size of linked list is. Now to run this program, right click on it and click run linked list demo.main. The program is running. Yeah, the size of linked list 50 as expected, because we are inserting from 0 to 49. Now let's try to display the elements using toString method. I'm going to run again. This time to run, we can click here. Yeah, as you can see, the list starts from 0 to 49. That makes the number of elements 50. So now we learned add method and size method. Now let's see what will happen if you are using add first method to insert these elements. Okay, I'm running the program again. What do you see now? The size of the linked list is still same, it is 50, but since we have added at first, you can see that the list has been reversed. If you see, the first element at the list is 49 and the last element is 0. So Add method always adds at the end of the list, but add first always add at the first of the list. That is the difference. Now let's try to add using offer last. So offer last also adds at the end of the list. You can see the number of elements 50 and the element starting from 0 to 49. Now if you would like to print the return value of offer last, we can print here system.out. So offer last method returns boolean value, true or false. Let's see what will happen when we are printing this. As you can see here, it is successfully inserted. So in case of successful insertion, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. I am removing this print here. Now let's check whether the element 35 existing in the list or not. So boolean exists equal to list dot index of 35. Now let's run this program. 35 exists. Here we are using index of method. Index of method returns the position of the element. If the position is greater than 0, that means that element is existing. Now we also can use contains method instead of index of. The main difference is contains method returns boolean value such as true or false. So let's see contains. Now I have to change here type. Now here if true or false. Running the program. Now here 35 is. Knowing the return type of each method is really helpful. Now let's try to remove some methods using poll last, and poll first. Let's see how that works. I'm going to remove this piece of code. Now I'm going to remove the last element. Let's see list dot poll for last of. And then let's print. Then I'm just copy and pasting it. Here, as you can see, initially the list have 50 elements and the last element of the list was 49, and we removed the last value using poll last. Now after the removal, it is 48 now. Now let's try to remove an element using poll method and let's see what happens. So I'm going to rerun now. Now if you see, poll always removes the data from beginning. Here 49 was there and 49 is not removed. But here if you see, 0 has been removed. So the poll and poll first always remove data from the head of the list. Now let's try to call poll method on an empty list and let's see what happens. So to create an empty list, first I have to call list.clearof. This will clear all the elements and I'm going to poll. Let's see what happens. Poll method didn't throw any error. Here the elements are being inserted into list, and here we are displaying the list using toString method. Then we are clearing all the elements from the list. When this line is executed, the list don't have any elements, and when we are calling poll, there are no elements to be removed. Currently the list is empty, but Java did not throw any error. Now I am going to change this poll method into remove method, and let's see what will happen. There are 3 overloaded versions of remove. I am just calling remove method. Then let's see what will happen. As you can see, an exception has been thrown. No such element exception has been thrown. Sometimes it is helpful for programmers. They can use the methods based on the behavior of the linked list. Now we have learned the remove method. Now next 2 methods that we are going to discuss is push and pop. Now let's see how we can implement stack using linked list. So for this example, I am trying to reduce the number of elements. I am making it 10. Then we can use push method to insert the data into linked list. Then here we are displaying the size of the linked list. Then we are displaying the elements of the linked list here. Then let's remove these 2 lines. Now I'm going to remove this line as well. Now let's see the return type of pop method. List.pop. Okay, it is an integer. It is an integer, that means it is returning the element after removal. So let's code as follows: while list dot is empty, not empty, then integer removed element equal to list dot pop. So what this code does? So here we are first inserting the 10 elements from 0 to 10 into the list. Then we are printing the size of the list. Then we are checking whether the list is empty or not. If it is not empty, then we are popping an element from the list. Then we are displaying that popped element here. And then at last we are printing the list. Actually, when this code is run, I am expecting the list to be empty because this is a while loop. It checks whether the list is empty or not, such as this while block will execute as long as the list have data. So all the elements will be removed using pop. So now let's try to run this program. Okay, the output has been generated, but it doesn't look that great. Let me add one line here. So we are displaying the list before we popping the elements. Then here and so I have added some new lines. Let's see. I am rerunning the program. Okay. See here, we have inserted the data 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on till 10. But when we are popping up, we get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So the last in, first out. So here the last inserted value is 10 and the first element which came out is 10. Last inserted element will come out first. That is last in, first out. So this is how push and pop can be used to mimic stack in linked list. And we can create a queue using a linked list. We are not going to discuss that here. We will discuss in the upcoming sections. So we have learned push and pop now. In the previous lecture, we learned many methods. I am not going to show you all those methods here. You can always try and test them out. I am going to show you one trick to find all the methods that are applicable for a list. Here the name of the list is list. So list dot. When I type dot, the IntelliJ automatically shows all the methods that are applicable for this list. So as you can see here, is empty, poll last, poll, add have two overloads, add, and here one more add all has two overloads, add first, add last, clear, clone, contains method, descending iterator, see, and you can check the return type of each method. Here this is returning a iterator. Then we have element method, get first, get last index of list iterator. List iterator returns an list iterator. We will discuss about iterators in the coming lecture. We have a dedicated section available for iterators. We will discuss this. Then offer first, offer last, peak first, stream, peak last, poll first, pop, push, remove. Remove have three overload versions. Remove first occurrence, remove last occurrence, remove last, fetch, size, spliterator, to array. There are some stream methods. Then there are many inheritance methods such as contains all equals, hash code, iterator, list iterator, parallel stream dot, remove all, remove if, replace all, retain all, sort. So I suggest you to test them out, all these methods, and most of these methods I have discussed them in the LinkedList demo, so it must be easy for you to test them out, all these methods. So we are winding up this chapter with these many methods. So I suggest you to test them out once again, and in the next lecture we will be discussing the difference between array list and linked list. Thank you. See you there.